Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2017 Gamey Awards here on GuyLogicGaming. Brought to you by me, myself, and I, Temco. I'm gonna go through a bunch of games, a ton of categories, and tell you why some of them stand head and shoulders above the others. Now, as last year, these are games I've personally played, these are games I have personally had experience with, and that means they're also games only available on PC, or at least available on PC in the year of 2017. Unlike last year, we'll be running through a bunch of possible contestants for a victory, and then I'll go through my runner-ups as well as victor in more detail. So we won't be focusing on every single possible nominee, just the ones that are actually getting the title or close to it. Before we get started in the categories, I first obviously like to thank everybody that stuck around with us here on GuyLogicGaming over the last year. There have been some changes, there have been a bunch of improvements in audio and video quality, and those I have to thank all of you for either watching the ads, checking us out on Patreon, or any other through a million methods of supporting the channel, including sharing videos, which I do strongly suggest you do with this one if you like it. Having said all of that, let's go ahead and dive into the first category, the best art design in a game in 2017. Your possible nominees, without any ado, are Rise and Shine, Warcube, Rain World, Bayonetta for PC, Dead Cells, Old Man's Journey, Rime, Pyre, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Nidhogg 2, Cuphead, and finally Destiny 2. Those are your possible contestants, and the runner-up for Best Art Design in 2017, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Now, Hellblade does a lot of things really well, and especially for a pseudo AAA experience in a indie jacket with an indie price of $30 US, there is very little to fault at this game. But the visual designs of the game aren't always exceptional. There is some jaggy edges here and there are some clipping issues, and the game definitely doesn't focus on its visuals as much as it does on its audio and overall story design. They're always an accompaniment to what is happening around you and what the world is trying to tell you, and not a focal point for the game itself. This often leads that other things are more important and visuals take a little bit of a back seat as opposed to being front and center, which means that for best art design, Hellblade merely is runner-up. Our second runner-up for best art design comes by the name of Cuphead. Now, this game looks and feels phenomenal from a visual style. They've really nailed the 1920s Disney cartoon aesthetic, both visually as well as animation style, as well as audio on top. And the visuals here do truly look beautiful. But often the case with these kinds of games, and especially Cuphead, is that the visuals sometimes actually interfere with the gameplay, and that is annoying as all hell, which docks at a couple of points and really is the only reason it is prevented from being the winner in this category. Cuphead is visually phenomenal, unique, and stands head and shoulders above its possible competition even among AAA titles. But that annoyance caused when you just miss that jump in a level, or when you think you're supposed to hit a boss but the hitbox just isn't where you think it was, do dock it away and cause it not to nail the win for this category. Nonetheless, it is a runner-up and about head and shoulders above everything else. And the winner for best art design for 2017 on PC is Pyre. Now, Pyre needs very little introduction in its visual style. Half a visual novel, half a strategy game, half a turn-based RPG. It is a lot of mashups with a lot of ideas, but one thing the game nails through and through is the visual style. Colorful, happy, multi-tiered, and clear and concise in areas it needs to be. Visuals are beautiful, diverse, and still coherent. Whether you're looking at a swampy area or a lava pit, whether you're looking at a bird person or a goat head, everything feels cohesive, part of this world. And while you're looking at a story in a visual novel style, the visuals never grow old. And you come back every single time to every single scene to explore it, even if there's nothing new, simply because you want to admire the art style, the art direction, and overall art design. At the end of the day, everything else aside, for this category, Pyre takes the cake eats it, and then brings in seconds, because Spire stands head and shoulders above every other game on PC in 2017 in terms of art design. But art isn't the only thing that makes a game great. In fact, it is the one thing that actually stands head and shoulders in visual presentation when you first look at a game. But the one thing that makes a game feel alive when you're playing it is sound design. So for the next category, it is the best sound design for 2017 on a game on PC. And your nominees for best sound design are Bayonetta for PC, Rime, Fire, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Cuphead, and Yamawari: Midnight Shadows. For best sound design, the front and center needs to be your ears. Whether it's an orchestral track that really pulls you in, whether it's amazing dialogue, or it's just ambient sounds while you play the game. Sound design is not something that you look at or listen to intuitively to make a decision, but when it doesn't fit the game properly, doesn't accompany its visuals or the emotions the scene is trying to reach, it is jarring and breaks the experience. An invisible but very important aspect of a game, sound design really sets the tone for what the visuals and story narrative do tell. As such, our runner-up for sound design winner of 2017 is Yamawari: Midnight Shadows. The visuals for Yamawari are never its core focus. Yes, they look creepy, yes, they look cute, but at the end of the day, when you're walking around the town and your heartbeat starts pumping and the visuals accompany that heartbeat, not the other way around, you feel threatened. When you turn a corner and a screech bellows out from around you, that is when you know something's going on, something's wrong. And for a horror experience, sound is immensely important, especially when your visuals take a backstage several steps back. As such, Yamawari is the runner-up for Best Sound Design of 2017. Nonetheless, there can be only one real winner in Best Sound Design, and that is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, because where the game did hand in a few points on its visual style and visual fidelity, it didn't hand in anything when it came to sound design. Between audio, narrative, voiceover, and everything in between technology-wise, as well as delivery-wise, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a audio experience that has not graced PC up to that date. It really truly feels like a dozen people hammering your ears, all with different voices, all with different levels of clarity, vying for your attention as you run through this myriad of worlds, of experiences, and this level up psychosis that you truly feel like you're experiencing as the player, not just in your eyes, but in your ears. No other game has nailed this to this point, and frankly, I'd not be surprised if this sets a trend for horror games and various other immersive experiences in the future. Hellblade takes the stage with audio design that no other game has done this year. As such, it is deservedly the creme de la creme when it comes to sound design and sound delivery in 2017. Your winner, thus, is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. The third component to a good game in my eyes, outside of visuals that please, audio that accompanies, is story and narrative. Now, not all games are built around story or narrative, but to me personally, I enjoy them immensely, and I have generally played a lot of games that contain large chunks of story and narrative. Story and narrative can mostly be explained as something fairly simple. How does the game want me to experience something? Is it narrating at me? Is it telling me to read a book? Or is the world the story in itself? There's many ways to tell a story and many games that attempt to do so. As such, for Best Story and Narrative in 2017 on PC, your nominees are Torment: Tides of Numenera, Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition, Divinity: Original Sin 2, Bayonetta for PC, Rime, Fire, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, The Evil Within 2, and Wolfenstein 2. In story, you can tell it by cutscenes, you can tell it by expose, you can tell it by world building, and each has their advantages and disadvantages. As such, our first runner-up for excellent storytelling is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. While most of the story is done through cutscenes and directed narrative through audio and video experiences, every piece and every bit lines up perfectly well to tell what the game wants you to experience. to tell you a contained experience that when you are done with it, you feel completed. It doesn't leave any questions unanswered. It doesn't leave you wondering or asking why certain things were left out. It doesn't leave any loose edges or any loose ends. It just wraps everything up together in an excellent sound, visual, and story experience. All packaged together, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice creates an amazing narrative and wraps it up in a good story. But it doesn't do an excellent job in pacing that very well. Often chunks where puzzles or even the intro of 5 minutes where they just scroll by developer names are annoying and interspaced with the story cause some friction. As such, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is one of our runner-ups for best story and narrative. The second runner-up for best story and narrative is Evil Within 2. Evil Within 2 tried to change out what Evil Within 1 already started, making a more open world, a more free experience, less of a directed touch, less of a linear progression. You were free to explore, free to experience, free to see what the world had to offer. And in many ways, the game offered a lot of things for you to see, a lot of things for you to do. But many cases, the game just stopped short of letting you truly be free. Walls you ran into and had to experience bits of the story to get. Segments you could already accomplish because you took a roundabout route suddenly came into focus in story when you were wondering why wouldn't I have been able to experience that 2 hours ago when I was doing that specific segment and could see all those computers and windows and walls and bridges I could have crossed, but the game didn't allow me to. It straddles between open world and linear experience, and not always does it actually hit the mark quite well. An excellent story, an excellent narrative, an excellent world that sometimes just isn't sure whether it wants to hold your hand or let you out to pasture. Evil Within 2 is our runner-up for best story and narrative of 2017. But there can be only one true winner for best story and narrative, and that goes to Divinity: Original Sin 2. While not really connected with Divinity: Original Sin 1 outside of the gameplay ideas and the world the game plays in, Divinity: Original Sin 2 has so much story, so much depth, and so many little nuances in the world and narrative that it truly stands head and shoulder above everything else. Side quests that are throwaway, minutes long, that you could just not even look at if you weren't paying attention, still have a ton of depth, span chapters, segments of the map that you would never consider doing. Things that you might consider throwaway, like picking up a rock, or looting a chest, or even delivering a mail or piece of letter to a different NPC that you never should have interacted with in the first place, span arcs, information, story bits that you can use down the line in different areas. Or don't. Just lie to them, deceive them, or even if you want to your own companions. Create friendships, create enemies, and decide on your own how you want to play this world. All the while, cohesive story, cohesive narrative binds everything together. Even if you end up making the worst decisions you could make in terms of story progression, the game still rewards you and equally punishes you for everything you do. And many things you never expected to matter. As such, Divinity: Original Sin 2 takes the cake and walks away with every little piece of it, with every crumb attached still in its hands for best story and narrative of 2017. Finally, we come to the last, more serious category for this Gamey Award of 2017. As such, the next category is Best Overall PC Game. While many of the games I mentioned previously had a lot going for them in many ways, they stood out in one particular segment quite a bit above the rest. But these games, these nominees for Best Overall PC Game, when I let down my controller, when I stopped touching my mouse, when I uninstalled them having had my fill of the experience, or having completed them in full, these games left me a lasting impression of excellence. These games are the games I will recommend to anyone that enjoys games. Whether or not you enjoy that particular genre, these are examples of good game design, good gameplay, and overall just good gaming. As such, your nominees are Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Divinity: Original Sin 2, Fire, The Evil Within 2. In this category, each of these games I feel should be recommended to any of your friends that enjoy that genre, whether it's Hellblade for an RPG action experience or The Evil Within 2 for an open world horror experience. Each game here is excellent, but there can only ever truly be one winner, and that winner for best overall PC game is Divinity Original Sin 2, where it combines story and choice and good sound design. The game is fully voice acted on top, giving each character a personality you never expected and never really sought out to. Even characters that may only have one or two throwaway lines given into them somewhere down the line by some NPC character. 5 chapters in, you can only meet if you ever did something in chapter 1. Even something as simple as teleporting your allies across a ravine has impact, has options, and has availability for you. Whether you craft an armor or steal an armor, whether you have a recipe or a skill, are the differences between being able to do a quest or not, or how you can do the quest. Every action has options, every option has consequences, and every step of the way, Divinity Original Sin 2 delivers excellence upon excellence upon excellence across the board. And the fact of the matter is, very few games draw me in as much as good RPGs do, good classic style RPGs. Last year's Tyranny is a great example of a game that drew me in, and I spent 50 hours playing it. With Divinity Original Sin 2, I'm about 100 hours into the game and not even halfway done. It takes a special kind of game to suck me in that I want to explore every single option, nuance, and category without getting bored. And Divinity Original Sin 2 does exactly that. It draws you in, doesn't let go, and lets your imagination flow wild for what you could do in this world with the near infinite possibilities that the game offers you in terms of skills, abilities, dialogue, and characters. As such, Divinity Original Sin 2 is your winner for Best Overall PC Game of 2017. That said, having had the more serious categories out of the way, having praised the games that are good, having given credit where credit is due, there are a couple of categories that are sort of out there that I feel are important, but really they're mostly there to mock and make fun of certain aspects of the gaming industry. As such, your next category is a good game destroyed by a business model, or better known as the Best Loot Boxes Award. This category really doesn't have a winner as much as it has the biggest loser. As such, your nominees for Good Game Destroyed by Business Model or Best Loot Box Award is Destiny 2, Battlefront 2, and Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Each of these games stands head and shoulders above its industry peers that I have played personally in screwing over the consumer with a shitty-ass business model. In-game cosmetics, expanded to in-game capabilities, expanded to orgs that permanently die in Shadow of War, expanded to Destiny 2 shaders being more than half locked behind paywalls, to Battlefront 2's 4,000 hours of pride and accomplishment. And there can only be one true winner. The one that had the internet in an outrage. The one that has legislators going after these games now to classify these loot boxes as gambling. Of course, this is Star Wars Battlefront 2 by EA. While many games have been doing shitty things with loot boxes for many years, they've never really gotten in the spotlights they deservedly are supposed to be in terms of shittiness as game company practices. And yet, where FIFA flew under the radar, where NBA 2K flew under the radar, where Overwatch and other premium titles with microtransactions and loot boxes sort of skated by on its only cosmetics, Battlefront 2 went front, center, and took a swing, and well, the internet swung back with a lot more force. As such, Battlefront 2 is a good game that got destroyed by its business model more so than Destiny 2 or Shadow of War, which are also good games and yet are also not worth any penny at any amount any of your time. As such, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the good game destroyed by business model, or the Best Loot Box Award, because it does have the best loot boxes, and a little else. Our next award is for the game that's out, but not out, but is it really out yet? It is the Early Access Award. It is the award for games that are sort of out, but really are they out? Games that have been in early access for a long time, games that have changed so much, or games that sort of are treading on as if they were not in early access, having regular updates or expansions or DLCs coming out, or games that are shifting around so much in terms of what they plan on doing that they aren't even really the games they originally started out as in early access. Whether or not that's a bad thing or a good thing, well, I'll leave in the middle. But what this award is all about is sort of looking at these games and wondering, are you out yet? Are you complete yet? Are you ever going to be? So out but not out. But is it out? Your nominees are Warcube, Conan Exiles, Fortnite Battle Royale, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And really, again, this category doesn't really have a runner-up because each of these games has shifted so much over the course of its lifetime. And while some have stuck to their principles and what they set out to do, like Conan Exiles, others have shifted around, created whole new modes, whole new methods, and whole new ideas based on feedback. Some games, or one game in particular, decided that, you know, it's good enough to call it done. It's good enough to say we're complete. Our roadmap has been fulfilled. Our desires have been met. We are ready for big time. And the winner here is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Though still, it runs like absolute ass and it is an unoptimized pile of burning garbage on both PC and console. The game's popularity cannot be called into question. Its player base is large, the amount of money it makes is humongous, and its business practices over the time in early access have gone from acceptable to utter trash. The practice of their developers behind the scenes and publicly as well as spokespersons and PR people really does answer the question why they should have hired someone that is actually good at PR and not just let their founder and CEO do the talking for them. That said, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is popular, ever shifting, and keeps adding new things, but yet it's new things that don't really solve the main problems. It's a bigger map that still runs at 30 FPS on a 1080 Ti. It's more cosmetics, and are still locked behind a absolute crappy implementation of loot boxes. It is still a game that comes out from early access not having met many of its goals it stated out to do, and yet calls them done. How PlayerUnknown's popularity came to be is something for the annals of history, but popular it is. But competition is ripe on its heels between other Battle Royale titles, so I guess we'll wait and see whether or not it's really out yet. But is it out yet? Really keeps on giving for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Or whether it's just stuck in early access for a little bit longer and got its ass running at a proper frame rate. And maybe stop falling through the ground every time you land. That would also be nice. The last award for the Gamey Awards of 2017 goes by the name of Why is the Sun Coming Up Already? Some games just sort of suck you in. I mentioned Divinity Original Sin 2. Other games drain time like there's no tomorrow. Civilizations is a great example. And some games just want you to keep on going because you just want to know what the hell is going on next. This award is for those games where you sit down for an hour and end up playing 6. This award is for those games when you sit down after a long day of work thinking you're gonna have a quick match after dinner and end up playing until 4 AM. Your nominees for this award are Divinity Original Sin 2, Final Fantasy XIV, and Torment, Tides of Numenera. Many games this year have taken my time. Many games I have reviewed, let down, and never really picked up again, even though I would have really liked to. Many games just never really interested me. Some games just had a finite amount of content. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is 8 to 10 hours. You've seen it all. It's a great 8 to 10 hours, but it doesn't keep pulling you in time and time again. So the runner-up for this category is Divinity Original Sin 2. While Divinity Original Sin 2 keeps pulling me in, and I've already put over 100 hours into the game, and I'm not even halfway in, it doesn't keep pulling me in across the night. I'll play for half an hour, then I'll play for an hour. Maybe I'll leave the game running while I watch a movie and do a few things in between. It keeps me focused, it keeps me wondering, but it doesn't suck me in and keep me playing continually. The other runner-up is Torment: Tides of Numenera. Much like Divinity Original Sin 2, Torment pulls me in and has me experience and explore a variety of things. But every time I finish a chapter, or every time I finish a segment of the story, or an arc, or a big quest, I sat back and wondered, well, let me do some other things, and then I'll come back to this game with renewed vigor, new ideas, new concepts I want to explore in the title. And the winner for our category doesn't do that. That just kept pulling in and doesn't let go. Final Fantasy XIV is the winner for Why is the Sun Coming Up Already? for PC for 2017. An expansion of Final Fantasy XIV, it is an excellent way to waste all your time. The leveling is intense, the story content is amazing, the side objectives are fun, the new land areas and the new land masses are immensely enjoyable. Besides the main story arc, which already pulls you with lots of story, the various dungeons that provide a lot of challenge, and obviously leveling up and getting gear. Like any MMO, Final Fantasy XIV delivers the next step to Final Fantasy XIV Saga, with all the accompanying ways to waste time. Unlike many games, or many MMOs even, for me personally, Final Fantasy XIV does things right. Leveling up a new job or new class with the same character, figuring out this little puzzle, or collecting achievements, or even just going out and making some very cool stuff you can use in your house, or apartment, or, well, for your guild. It doesn't really matter what the game wants you to do, but everything it does do, it sucks you in for hours on end. And that includes fishing, and I hate fishing, and yet hours spent just fishing. As such, Final Fantasy XIV is your winner for Why Is the Sun Coming Up Already? For PC in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, those are your contestants, those are your categories, your winners are before you for the Gamey Awards of 2017. Each of these games deserves the praise it gets, each of these titles deserves your time, your attention, and each of these developers, well, except for the Loot Box Award, deserves you to take a look at them, whether for full price or at a discount, because these games are excellence that makes 2017 a great year for gaming. Every year we see new titles, new ideas, new concepts explored between Hellblade and Divinity Original Sin, between PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and the addition of Pyre. We see genres mix. We see things come together, we see new ideas propagate and old ideas return to new heights, to new systems, to new players, and to new concepts in an ever-changing world of gaming. And that is a wonderful thing to behold, and it's a wonderful thing to praise, which we do here on the Gamey Awards. So your winners are before you. My name is Stemko, and I hope you enjoyed the Gamey Awards of 2017. Before we sign off, there are a couple of people I like to thank that helped me make this thing a possibility. Obviously, they are the patrons and supporters of GuyLogicGaming. If you want to thank them, you can find them in our Discord channel. There's a link for that below. If you want to support us yourself, you can check us out on Patreon. Also, there's a link for that below. These people's financial support and overall moral support and support in terms of fact-checking and support in terms of providing me with information and people to bounce ideas off make the channel possible. While I put in a lot of hours and a lot of work, at the end of the day, I am but one person and I am very much fallible. The ability to buy a new microphone or the ability to upgrade my setup relies on having the money to do so, and your financial support makes that possible in smaller and greater means. The ability to purchase $60 games every week to review them when I don't get review copies is also made possible thanks to your support. So thank all of you to make this possible, thank all of you for watching, and thank all of you for another wonderful year here at GuyLogicGaming. Hopefully next year we'll grow further, hopefully next year we'll go bigger, but for now, I hope your 2017 has been as wonderful as that was for gaming. And I hope I see you next year, right here on GuyLogicGaming, as we get more content, more reviews, more videos everywhere. I'll see you next year, right here on GuyLogicGaming.